Most men get this completely wrong. They assume that if a woman is interested, she will make it obvious. That attraction announces itself clearly. That if she likes you, you will know, and if you're not sure, that is your answer. This assumption has cost more men more opportunities than almost any other mistake in the entire territory of attraction. Here is the truth that changes everything. When a woman is genuinely attracted to you, she will very often go out of her way to hide it. Not because she is cruel, not because she is playing games for sport, but because female psychology around attraction is built on a foundation of self-protection that most men have never taken the time to understand. She does not want to look desperate. She does not want to lose the power that comes from being the one who cares less, or at least from appearing to. She does not want to risk rejection before she has any sense of how you feel. And she does not want to give you everything before she has any evidence of what you will do with it. So instead of telling you, she signals. Small signals, carefully constructed to be deniable if they land wrong. Real enough to feel if you are paying attention. Subtle enough to walk back if necessary. And most men are not paying attention to the right things. But before we get into the specific signs, there is something we need to name first. Because until you see it clearly, it will keep you confused every single time. The villain keeping you confused. I call it the confusion loop. The confusion loop is the pattern most men fall into when they cannot read female attraction signals accurately. It works like this. She sends a signal. He misreads it as friendship or accident. He does nothing. She interprets his inaction as disinterest and pulls back slightly. He notices the pullback and confirms his original misreading. The loop closes. The opportunity dissolves. Neither person understands what happened. Or, it goes the other direction. She sends a signal. He overreads it and moves too fast. She feels exposed and retreats. He interprets the retreat as rejection. He either chases harder, which pushes her further, or gives up entirely, which removes the thing she was actually responding to. The loop closes again. Different direction, same outcome. The confusion loop exists because most men were never taught the actual language of hidden female attraction. They were taught to wait for directness that is not coming, or to look for signals that do not look the way they expect signals to look. Here is what the confusion loop has cost you. The woman who was nervous around you, and you read as cold. The woman who tested your reaction, and you failed by overreacting. The woman who played push-pull, and you chased when you should have stayed steady. The woman who mixed her signals, and you called it confusion when it was actually interest wearing a disguise. Every one of those was a door. You just did not know how to open it. After tonight, you will. Sign 1. She gets nervous around you, but tries to hide it. This is one of the most consistently misread signals in male-female interaction. And the misreading almost always goes in the same direction. A man sees a woman who seems tense or slightly off around him. He interprets this as discomfort or disinterest. He gives her more space. She takes the space as confirmation that he is not interested. The moment dies. What he missed entirely is that her nervousness was attraction. Here is the psychology behind this. When a woman is genuinely attracted to someone, her emotions become heightened around that person. Her body begins responding before her conscious mind can manage the response. And the physical evidence of that response leaks through in specific, identifiable ways. She plays with her hair without realizing she is doing it. She fidgets with her phone, adjusts her clothing, repositions herself slightly. These are not random habits. They are the physical expression of a nervous system that has registered your presence as significant. But here is the layer most men never reach. She is aware that these behaviors give her away. So she compensates. She tries to look casual while being anything but casual. She might lower her voice to seem more indifferent than she feels. She might give shorter responses to seem less engaged than she actually is. She might look away faster than she otherwise would, not because she does not want to look at you, but because looking at you too long feels like showing too much. If you do not understand this mechanism, you will read the coldness she is performing as the truth she is feeling. And you will be wrong. Watch for the gap between what her words and tone are telling you and what her body is doing simultaneously. Watch for the inconsistency between how she presents herself to you and how she presents herself to everyone else. If she is warmer, more relaxed, more fluid with the people around you, and suddenly becomes slightly stiff or self-conscious when you enter the frame, that shift is information. Women do not get nervous around men they have zero interest in. Indifference looks like ease, not tension. If she is working to appear unaffected, something underneath is worth being affected about. Sign 2. Her eyes tell you what her words won't. A woman can control her words. She can manage her tone, her attitude, her body language to a significant degree. What she cannot fully control is her eyes. And this is where the truth of her feelings lives, whether she is aware of it or not. The first thing to understand about eye contact and hidden attraction is that it does not behave the way most people expect. You might assume that a woman who likes you will hold your gaze longer, will look at you more directly, will make obvious and sustained eye contact. Sometimes this is true, but often the opposite is what happens. When a woman is attracted to you and is trying not to show it, her eye contact becomes shorter. Not because she is uninterested, because the contact feels like too much. It feels like too much because it threatens to reveal what she is working to conceal. She will glance at you and then look away quickly, sometimes with a slight, barely visible smile that arrives and disappears before she can decide whether to show it. That quick look away is not rejection. That is the exact behavior of someone who felt something and pulled back before it showed, too clearly. In group settings, watch where her eyes go when she is not speaking and does not need to be looking anywhere in particular. If her gaze finds you more than the situation requires, more than the conversation demands, more than attention to the group would explain, that is not random. We look at what matters to us. We look at what we are thinking about. If you are where her eyes go when she has no reason to be looking at you, you are where her mind is. Watch also for the lingering glance. The moment when she looks just a fraction of a second longer than the situation calls for. You will feel it more than see it, a slight change in the quality of the attention, a weight to the gaze that was not there before. And pay attention to what happens when you catch her looking. A woman who has no particular feeling about you will hold your gaze calmly, will not change her expression, will simply continue doing whatever she was doing. A woman who is just caught looking at someone she is attracted to will react. She will look away immediately, will appear suddenly busy, will find something else to attend to with a speed that communicates she was doing something she had not fully planned. That reaction is information. Treat it accordingly. Sign 3. Her body speaks before she does. Regardless of what a woman says, her body is running a separate conversation. And that conversation is significantly harder to manage or disguise. The first physical signal is orientation. People naturally angle their bodies toward things they are drawn to and away from things they are not. In a group setting, notice which direction she faces when she has a choice. If her body consistently orients in your direction, even when the conversation is happening elsewhere, she is drawn toward you physically before she has decided to be drawn toward you verbally. The second is proximity. Women are careful with their personal space. They do not allow it to close casually with people who do not matter to them. If she consistently stands closer to you than the situation requires, if she leans in when speaking to you in a way she does not lean in with others, if she reduces the distance between you in small, incremental ways over the course of an interaction, she is moving toward you. And she is doing it because something in her wants to be closer. The third is touch. And this one requires careful attention because the touches of a woman who is attracted, but hiding it, are almost always plausible, deniable. A brief contact on the arm during laughter. A touch on the shoulder that stays a half-second longer than necessary. The slight brush of her hand against yours that she immediately moves away from as if it was accidental. None of these are accidents. Touch of this quality, this deliberate casualness, requires more awareness and intention than it appears to involve. The fourth is mirroring. When a woman unconsciously mirrors your movements, crosses her legs when you cross yours, reaches for her drink when you reach for yours, leans back when you lean back, she is doing something her conscious mind has not approved. She is syncing with you. And that syncing is a reliable indicator of genuine connection and interest operating beneath the surface of the interaction. The fifth, and the one most often overlooked, is posture. Around people she feels nothing for, a woman's posture remains natural and unconsidered. Around someone she is attracted to, it shifts almost imperceptibly. She straightens slightly. Her shoulders adjust. The way she occupies her body changes in small ways that communicate she has become aware of being watched, even if no one is watching her, simply because he is in the room. Sign 4. The jealousy test. This is one of the most reliable signals in the entire landscape of hidden attraction, and it is almost universally mishandled by men who encounter it. When a woman likes you but has not decided to tell you, she will very often create situations to test your reaction. Not consciously as a calculated strategy, but instinctively as a way of gathering information about how you feel without risking the exposure of asking directly. The most common version of this is the introduction of another man into the conversation. She mentions someone who has been paying her attention, a colleague who is funny, someone who texted her something interesting, a friend of a friend she recently met. She says it casually. She makes it sound like nothing. But she is watching you the entire time. She is watching whether your energy changes, whether there is any shift in your expression, your engagement, your tone. She is watching whether you ask questions or ignore it, whether you become more attentive or less. Everything about your response to this information tells her something about how invested you are without her having to ask the question directly. The wrong response is to overreact, to show obvious discomfort, to question her, to compete or perform. This communicates insecurity. Insecurity is not attractive, and it also gives away too much power in a moment where you want to remain balanced. The equally wrong response is to show complete indifference. If you genuinely do not react at all, she interprets this as confirmation that you have no interest in her. The right response is calibrated. Acknowledge what she said without being destabilized by it. Stay warm, but do not scramble. Stay present, but do not perform. You might respond lightly, something that shows you heard her, shows you are not threatened, and shows you are not indifferent, all at once. What she is ultimately testing for is not whether you will fight for her. It is whether you are emotionally secure enough to be a man worth revealing herself to. Pass that test not by competing, but by remaining exactly who you are. Sign 5. The push-pull pattern. If you have ever experienced a woman who is warm one day and distant the next, engaged 1 hour and cold the next, you have experienced the push-pull pattern. And if you experienced it as confusing, you are not wrong. It is confusing, but it is confusing in a specific way that points directly towards something real. The push-pull pattern appears when a woman is genuinely attracted, but is not yet ready to be consistently visible in that attraction. She gives you a moment of real warmth and then pulls it back. She shows you something true and then covers it. She comes closer and then creates distance. This is not cruelty. This is the behavior of someone managing an internal experience that feels large enough to be risky. Here is how it typically unfolds. She is warm, engaged, laughing, physically present. You feel the connection clearly. Then something shifts. She becomes more careful, more distant, shorter in her responses. You begin to question whether the earlier warmth was real or whether you misread it. You did not misread it. The warmth was real. The distance that follows is also real, but it is the distance of someone managing the exposure of having shown you something genuine, not the distance of someone who does not feel anything. The critical mistake men make at this point is to chase, to become more attentive when she withdraws, to reach harder when she pulls back, to read her distance as something that needs to be fixed with more effort. This is exactly the wrong move, and it produces exactly the wrong result. The more you chase when she pulls back, the more power you give her over your emotional state, and the less attractive you become as a result. The right move is to remain steady. When she is warm, receive it. When she pulls back, do not collapse or compensate. Continue living your life with the same energy you would have regardless of what she is doing. Show her that your sense of yourself does not rise and fall based on where she is in her own internal process. This steadiness is not indifference. It is the most powerful signal you can send in this situation. It tells her that you are someone she cannot destabilize. And a man who cannot be destabilized is a man worth revealing herself to. Sign 6. Jealousy, without admission. This sign is closely related to the jealousy test but operates differently. The jealousy test is something she creates proactively. Hidden jealousy is something that happens to her reactively when something in your behavior or environment triggers it. Watch what happens to her energy when you interact with another woman. Not dramatically, not in obvious ways, but subtly. Does she go quieter? Do her responses to you become shorter? Does her attention scatter in a way it was not scattered before? These are not coincidences. These are the physical and behavioral expression of a feeling she is not going to name out loud. Sometimes it presents differently. Instead of becoming quieter, she becomes louder. She might suddenly increase her energy in the group, redirect attention toward herself, make a joke that cuts across the interaction in a way that brings focus back to her. She might make a comment about the other woman that carries just enough edge to communicate something she would never say directly. The psychology here is simple. Jealousy only exists in the presence of desire. A woman is not jealous about the people she has no interest in. She does not track the interactions of men who do not matter to her. She does not feel her energy shift when those men speak to other women. If she is feeling jealousy, she is feeling something, and that something is worth paying attention to. The mistake men make when they sense this is either to confront it directly, which she will deny, or to weaponize it by deliberately provoking more jealousy, which backfires. The right response is to remain warm and consistent with her while not adjusting your behavior around other people. Let her see that you are not performing for her reaction. Let her see that your confidence does not require her validation. And let her work out her own feelings at her own pace. Sign 7. The mixed signals pattern. When a woman gives you mixed signals, most men interpret this as a sign that she is not interested or that she does not know what she wants. Both interpretations are usually wrong. Mixed signals are almost always the evidence of attraction that has not yet found a way to be expressed consistently. She texts you first and then takes hours to respond to your reply. She is warm and engaging in person and then distant in messages. She gives you compliments and then walks them back with disclaimers. She creates moments of obvious connection and then acts as if they did not happen. This behavior is not random. It is not an accident. It is the pattern of someone who is feeling something real and has not yet decided what to do with it. Indifference does not look like this. A woman who feels nothing for you does not text you first and then make you wait. She does not bother to flirt and then walk it back. She does not create moments of connection she later feels the need to neutralize. That level of engagement, even in its inconsistency, requires interest. You cannot have mixed signals without having signals. The right way to handle this is the same as the push-pull pattern. Do not mirror her inconsistency. Do not become warm when she is warm and anxious when she is distant. Maintain your own consistent energy regardless of where she is in her cycle. Be available without being desperate. Be engaged without being dependent on her engagement in return. What you are doing when you hold this steady is showing her what consistency actually looks like. And eventually, consistently, that steadiness becomes the thing she is organizing herself around rather than fighting against. The final thought. Here is what connects every single sign on this list, my friend. She is not confused about what she feels. She is managing what she feels. Managing the risk of showing it. Managing the vulnerability of wanting something before she knows whether the wanting will be received or used against her. The confusion loop exists because men read the management as the message. They see the distance and call it disinterest. They see the inconsistency and call it confusion. They see the nervousness and call it discomfort. And in doing so, they confirm for her that her caution was warranted and that she was right to hide what she was hiding. The man who understands these 7 signs does not do this. He reads the management as management and looks for what is being managed underneath. He stays steady when she pulls back. He remains grounded when she tests him. He does not chase when she creates distance or panic when she sends mixed signals. He becomes the one constant in a dynamic she has been making deliberately inconsistent. And that constancy is what makes the difference. She was never hard to read. She was just reading you at the same time. And she was waiting to see whether you were someone worth letting read her back. Now you know what to look for. If this opened your eyes to something you have been missing, subscribe. More honest conversations about female psychology, hidden attraction, and the signals most men never learn to read. Drop a comment and tell me, which of these 7 signs have you been misreading? I read every single one. Until next time, my friend, stop waiting for directness that is not coming. Start reading the language she has been speaking the whole time.